Anyway, Ohio just got Chernobyl'd. Badly. It's bad. Don't tell me it's safe. Residents of East Palestine expressed fears about returning after it's revealed that there were more toxic chemicals on the derailed Ohio train than originally reported, and thousands of livestock left dead. About 50 cars, including 10 carrying hazardous materials, derailed in a fiery crash on East Palestine on February the 3rd. Officials conducted a controlled explosion of the highly flammable toxic chemicals. Residents now worry about the health effects of these chemicals. So the dangerous chemicals, you just blew them up and set them on fire, did you? That was the smart thing to do. Aren't you clever? Because everybody knows the safest way to get rid of very dangerous and toxic chemicals is to set them in fire and just put them into the air and into the clouds and into all the farm animals and just right. See that little 6-month-old infant right into the lungs. Ooh-wah, there you go. That's the smart thing to fucking do. Fucking hell. Residents of a small town in Ohio fear for their health and safety after huge clouds of toxic chemicals were released in a controlled explosion. I don't know, man, didn't look very controlled. I've seen the pictures. Following a train derailment earlier this month. About 50 cars, including 10 carrying hazardous materials, derailed in a fiery crash in East Palestine at about 9 pm on Friday, February the 3rd. Homes within a 1 mile area were soon evacuated as vinyl chloride was slowly released from 5 of those cars. Authorities then ignited the gases for a controlled release because if there's anything that is definitely controlled, it's when you light a match and fling it in a pile of chemicals. Controlled of the highly flammable toxic chemicals in a controlled environment, creating a dark plume of smoke seen miles away. Have you seen it, man? It looks like Morgoth's return, that fucking cloud in the sky, and it's like you can see it leaking into the clouds, which means it's going to be in the rainfall, right? And they're like, controlled. This is controlled. It's in the sky, controlled. It's so stupid. However, you're thinking, how could they possibly have been that stupid? They're not. It's on purpose. The evacuation orders were lifted last week, with the Environmental Protection Agency reporting the area was safe. But as residents return to all the fish are dead in the river, by the way. It's went into the groundwater and most likely will be in the water supply as well. Just go back home, citizen, and take a mighty big swig from the tap. Straight from the tap. Delicious. It's something to wash down those nice microplastics. But as residents return to their homes, some were reporting a burning sensation and persistent coughs. I wonder what could be causing that. Controlled. Local farmers have also claimed that livestock are suddenly dropping dead, as state officials say that more than 3,000 fish across 7.5 miles of streams have died. Fantastic. It has now been revealed that even more toxic chemicals were on board the freight train than had previously been reported, a fucking cargo manifest, that takes 2 seconds to get a hold of. A cargo manifest takes 2 seconds. The moment the crash happens, what the environmental protection are supposed to do is find out what was on that train so that they know how to deal with the situation. That's why any cargo trains always, you can contact the company and say, environmental protection here, trains after tracks, what was on that train? Boom, cargo manifest, produced in seconds. However, it's only just now come out. Oh shit, had we known that, we wouldn't have started the fire. Fucking, I swear to God, they think you're this stupid. Were on board the freight train than had previously been reported, as the United States Environmental Protection Agency warns that the chemicals are continuing to be released into the air, surface soils, and surface waters. That was something that they knew. Death possible, injury possible. Look at them trying to say, it's away from the city, it's all right, it's fine. The wind only ever blows in one direction. My God. Don't tell me it's safe. Kathy Reese, who lives in Negley, Ohio, just north of East Palestine, told WPXI of Pittsburgh last week, something is going on if the fish are floating in the creek. Yes, you're absolutely correct, especially if it's something that is in the air. Usually the thing that causes a mass wipeout of fish is like a liquid going into the water. As you saw happened in Germany when a company just decided to dump fucking mercury into the fucking river. This means that the particles that are in the air are then going into the water and killing the fish, which means, yeah, that is like one of the worst scenarios that you can imagine, right? Which means it's not a liquid pouring into the water, it's in the air. It's in the air. You're breathing it fucking in. have said that a chemical spill related to the train derailment killed an estimated 3,500 small fish across the 7.5 miles of streams. Meanwhile, one resident of North Lima, more than 10 miles away, said her 5 hens and rooster died suddenly after train operator Norfolk Southern burned the cars that were carrying vinyl chloride, a known carcinogen. I think we're going to find out the effects of this in about 20 years when everyone's just dropping dead with all types of cancers. And Jenna Gianos, 39, a wedding photographer in nearby Boardman, said she has had a persistent cough for the past week and a half. She has only been drinking bottled water, smart, and is uncomfortable using tap water to bathe. They only evacuated only 1 mile from that space, and that's just insane to me, Gianos, who set up a Facebook page for residents to vent their frustrations, told NBC News. Oh, another thing as well, journalists that were going to try and report and cover the fire and film it, they were all getting arrested. They were all getting grabbed by the police and arrested. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what was going on there. There was something going on that they just really didn't want these journalists seeing. Strange. I'm concerned with the long-term health impact, she added. It's just a mess. Sio Caggiano, a hazardous material specialist and former fire department chief, also said he was surprised residents were allowed to return home so quickly before all of their homes were tested. I would have far rather they did all the testing first, he said. I mean, I would too. I would think that would be the sensible, that would be the sensible course of action to go down. There is a lot of what ifs, and we are going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, water could go bad. He added, we basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. Fascinating that, isn't it? A chemical smell still lingers in the area as some residents refuse to return home. I look at this stuff, man. Like, that's just some of those nice chemicals, man. Just lean your head right over it and just blow a fat cloud, man. I mean, you think you vape, man, that's nothing on this, man. You need to fill your lungs with that goodness. Others have taken matters into their own hands, with the managers of the Kindred Spirits Rescue Ranch evacuating 77 of their largest animals, including a yak and zebu, for 2 days last week. We could see the plume come up over us, founder Lisa Marie Sopko said. Our eyes were burning and my face could feel it. Do any of you remember this really great series that came out recently, where a guy gazed into the fire and then turned around to his co-worker and said, "Can you taste metal?" Yeah. and the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation is urging its members to get water from their local wells tested immediately. There's some level of frustration out there among farmers, the organization's director Nick Kennedy told NBC News. They just want answers. Their livelihoods might be at stake here. Which I feel they're very entitled to answers, which they're definitely not going to get. State and federal officials, though, have denied that there is any threat to the residents and animals in the area. When, in a 7.5 mile stretch of river, all of the fish, thousands of them, go belly up, and farm animals are just randomly dying everywhere. I mean, of course, that's the government. They're lying. Of course they're lying. Why am I sitting there going, can you believe? Of course you can believe they would lie to you that badly. Fuck me. There is there. Authorities had said that chemicals like vinyl chloride and hydrogen chloride had the potential to be deadly, but that risk was mitigated in a controlled explosion last week. Yeah, we mitigated it. We stopped the problem when it was like in the tanks and just pouring on the ground. Instead, we set it on fire and put it in the air. Instead, we are so smart. Once that controlled burn was complete, the only risk of coming in contact with the toxins was if they were embedded in the soil, which then had to be dug out. Kevin Christ, a professor of chemical and biomolecular engineering and the director of Ohio University's Air Quality Center, told ABC News. The Environmental Protection Agency has since reported that that air and water samples collected in the region were within acceptable limits, and announced Monday evening that it had not yet detected any concerning levels of toxins in air quality. I would like a few third-party people to also engage in that. I think Let's get, I wouldn't mind a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion, It has screened 291 homes near the crash site, as well as local schools and the community library, and has not detected any levels of vinyl chloride or hydrogen chloride, officials with the department said. But as of Monday, 181 homes in the area still needed to be tested as the Columbiana County Health District awaits the results of groundwater testing. And Andrew Welton, a professor of environmental and ecological engineering at Purdue University, said it is possible that the burn created additional compounds the EPA might not be testing for. Yes, because fire... Whenever you see a fire, a chemical reaction is happening. Whatever is on fire is then reacting with the oxygen and nitrogen and whatever else is in the air or whatever other compounds are around it and forming whole new chemicals. Chemicals that are now in the fucking air. Hell yeah. Intelligence. Officials have already said the controlled explosion released toxins like phosgene and hydrogen chloride in large plumes of smoke. There they are in the river with all the fish and stuff like that. Meanwhile, newly released documents from Norfolk Southern show that more chemicals than were previously reported were being transported on the freight train, making its way from Illinois to Pennsylvania. Among those substances were ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethylhexyl and isobutylene. I think I did okay there. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that contact with ethylhexyl acrylate, a known carcinogen, can cause burning and irritation of the skin and eyes, while inhalation of the substance can irritate the nose and throat, causing shortness of breath and coughing. What were all the residents complaining about recently? I know it was only a few minutes ago, but it escapes my mind. What were they saying again? Inhalation of isobutylene can also cause dizziness and drowsiness, while exposure to ethylene glycol monobutyl ether can cause irritation in the eyes, skin, nose, and I think that's meant to say throat, as well as hematuria or blood in the urine, nervous system depression, headache, and vomiting. Jesus Christ. Originally, state health officials were only concerned about the presence of vinyl chloride, a highly volatile colourless gas produced for commercial uses. 4 lawsuits have now been filed against the rail operator, Norfolk Southern, including one which alleges the derailment was caused by negligence. That suit is demanding the railroad operator pay for medical screenings and related care for anyone living within a 30-mile radius of the crash. Justified in my eyes. Officials have said some of the toxins spilled into the Ohio River near the northern panhandle of West Virginia, causing officials there to shut down water production in the area and transfer to an alternate source of water supply, Governor Jim Justice said. He's emphasised everything is fine here due to the immediate action from agencies like the State's Department of Environmental Protection and National Guard. Still, water utility company West Virginia American Water is continuing to enhance its water treatment process as a precaution. It's also installed a secondary intake in the Wyandotte River in case there's been a need to switch to an alternate water source. The utility noted that there hasn't been any change in raw water at its Ohio River intake. The health and safety of our customers is a priority, and there are currently no drinking water advisories in place for customers, the company said in a statement. A town hall has been scheduled for Wednesday night to allow East Palestine residents to ask questions about the effects of the derailment, Mayor Trent Chronoway announced on Sunday. In the meantime, experts recommend residents take part in at-home air screenings offered by the EPA. Karen Dannemiller, a professor at Ohio State University, also recommends residents wipe down surfaces, especially those that collect dust, and wash items that absorb smells such as bedsheets and curtains, the exact same thing that they had to do in Chernobyl. Well, they were in the process of doing it, but then they fucking had to nope out of there. She also advises vacuuming carefully to try to prevent contaminants from moving into the air, noting to NPR that air cleaners and face masks are likely no match for hazardous chemicals. That's a shame. They were so good at stopping the virus. And there we are, that's the end of the article. But yeah. Something just don't sit right about this. A cargo manifest is so easy to get a hold of. So easy to get a hold of. And in my time during security work, we had to check them before they came in. We had the cargo manifests. Cargo manifest, easiest thing. I mean, especially if you're law enforcement. You can get that in seconds. That's not even really protected. The company can just go, yeah, here you go. And especially in a case like that of a crash, it takes 2 seconds. But they went in, thought they knew what was there, set it all on fire and put it in the air, and then after the fact went, oh wait, it turns out there was more you should have known that before you started the fire, and that information was easy enough for you to get a hold of. This entire thing fucking glows.